It's Clark and Perry on the case. Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry
Do what it takes.
Da-na-na-na. Clark and Perry investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.
Da-na-na-na.
Hello, and welcome to the Windy City's finest. I'm Clark, he's Perry, and today we're joined by Corley Farough, an illustrationist that we're going to be delving into here in the next little feature. But you are a very multidisciplinary, talented artist, are you not?
Yes, true.
Yes. What exactly, can you just list off, what exactly you do?
Oh, man. I do a lot of stuff. I was a commercial photographer for about 10 years.
Right.
I can still do it. I'm kind of bored of it.
Mm-hmm.
I use it now to show off my other artistic skills. I paint and I draw and I illustrate and I love pottery and sculpting, and I have done stained glass. It's not really for me. I love it, but it's a little there was fumes and.
But you want to try everything, right?
I mean, I do everything until I feel so comfortable with it that I'm like, okay, what's next? You know?
Yeah. Well, we're joined by a few of your lovely animals and pets because we are in your very home studio.
Yes.
As well. Very, very nice to kind of see. I noticed that you do a little bit of sewing off to the side corner.
Yeah.
We have some clear pottery examples as well too, but we're featuring you for illustration. So, if I may ask, where would you describe your artistic story beginning?
In the womb.
In the womb?
I don't know.
That early, eh?
No, I have no memory of not being an artist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm the youngest of 5 kids.
Of 5, eh?
Yeah. So my mom tells stories from when I was a kid, and one of them is all 4 of the older kids were at school, and my dad had to go to this really long process job interview, and they had nowhere to put me. My mom was a part of the interview because my dad was a farmer and he'd go to other farms to manage them.
Mm-hmm,
so we'd move the whole family onto a farm, and so they just took me to this interview. It was like a 4-hour interview, and I was probably 3 or 4.
Oh
and
goodness.
My mom and dad sat at this big boardroom table, and I sat at the other end. They gave me a pen and a paper, and for 4 hours I didn't make a sound because I just drew the whole time.
Wow. You were like a parent's dream come true. No,
if they needed to keep me quiet, they knew what to do.
Yeah. So that obviously started from a very early age, and I guess that what made you pursue that passion as well?
I don't think there was another way around it.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a storm. I didn't exist without it. You know. It's part of my identity. It's everything about who I am. I communicate through it. I learn through it. I'm a visual learner. I can remember things based on how they look, not what they sound like or smell like, or you know.
Right.
So
it kind of informs your style of learning and keeps you to it. I agree. I'm a very visual person as well, and I find going through photos or seeing how something is done first can really inform and help out. We have some jumping around little little helpers as well too. But no, this is lovely. You have a very full house. Does this allow time for a lot of your artistry?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
They are the inspiration behind so much of it. I love my animals so much.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And their names, of course, I forget.
That's okay.
We already introduced, but what are their names here?
Okay, so this coming over here, this is Ruth behind the pillows. She is my 5-year-old cat. The sheepdogs are both attempting to herd her at the moment. Together, it's teamwork. This is Huckleberry on the bench. Yeah, hi Huck. Good boy. Sarah is taking up the other side behind Ruth in case she tries to go that way. Manny is avoiding all of this because he is our 14-year-old cat. And I don't know where Tegan went. Oh, she's underneath you.
And Tegan's right there just watching the show for the most part.
Yeah.
No, that's lovely. You say that your animals are a key inspiration for your art. Delve a little bit deeper into that. Is that just because is it more of you want to show off their aspects? Where does that come from?
I think it's Tegan. Hey. Hey,
Looks
Tegan.
like they have a few things to say too.
Hey, come here. Come on. You want to say hi?
It's okay.
Come here. There. This is Tegan. Hi, are you a good girl?
So cute.
Yeah. So being so passionate about my animals, like I'm so in love with them, and I have like big feelings when I make art.
Yeah.
So my dog will do something cute, and I like. There's a ice cream place that had a first-year birthday in Lethbridge, and I went and they gave me a balloon, and I had my dog, and he comes in there with me, and it was just such a fun experience.
Yeah.
That I drew a picture and made it into a sticker.
Yeah.
And
of you holding this balloon with the dog.
With the dog and an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, it's just the goofiest little drawing, but I don't know. They're just so inspiring, everything they do, and they're iconic dogs too. Here comes Ruth.
It's kind of finding those moments that you would describe perhaps as like picturesque, right? Because to me, that ice cream cone with the dog is just a very peaceful image that I think everybody can kind of get behind as well too. It seems everybody's getting excited over here now that the show's on the road.
Yeah, it's gonna.
They were laying down perfectly quiet before,
and now suddenly it seems like a zoo.
No, that's good. That's good. No, that's fantastic. So I guess another question I have for you as well too is that when do you feel like you are most inspired, ready to take on something like that? Do you know when to set yourself up for something like that, or does it just come naturally?
It comes naturally,
Really?
and it goes naturally.
Yeah. So
like,
how do you take advantage of those times?
I embrace them. I work a casual job aside from this, so for the most part, I'm super flexible. If I want to stay up all night to focus, sorry.
I think Perry's getting mugged.
Tegan, come here. Sit.
I think the cats over here are just like, I've seen this stuff before.
Yeah, when I get excited about, like, something that sometimes gets me really excited, I'll watch a documentary about somebody who lived a really inspiring life. And I think I have all these emotions about it, like people do, they get excited, they want to buy tickets to see a musician. Well, I want to draw them, but I try not to because I don't want to do too much, like, I'm not really like a fan art person. I don't want to draw characters from shows to sell because that's someone else's art. And I don't want to try and capitalize off someone else's creations.
Yep.
So
that makes sense.
I use my own life and my own surroundings as the inspiration.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's really good too. And so another question that I have for you, kind of delving a little bit more into your life, is that what would you say that you need more of in your life?
Balance.
Balance. Okay.
Yeah. So as you said, those when do I get inspired? That could last like 40 hours. And then that's all I do for 40 hours.
Wow.
And then I don't sleep or clean my house, or I just I'll go to the studio and I'll be like, I'm only going to be 4 hours. And I stay for 18 hours and everyone there thinks I'm
crazy.
Yes. So maybe if I was able to somehow harness that energy and use it in a way that was more constructive on a routine, that would be good. But I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Goodness.
Guys, I'm just gonna see if I can. Is that okay?
That's absolutely okay.
Come here, Huck. Come. Do you guys want to go outside?
Oh, that got them.
Do you want to go outside? Okay, I will be right back. Okay,
that is
let's
go. And we're back. Excellent. And it looks like we have some viewers sitting outside as well too. They'll be back inside, I'm pretty sure, as well too. But to kind of get ourselves back on topic, I believe we were still on the topic of inspiration as well too. And you, I would say I may not experience this, but you say that you're able to kind of zone in and be in that zone for in that inspiration or inspired headspace for hours at a time.
Yeah, like days. It's like
that's a lot of discipline.
Yeah, well, I mean, or lack thereof. I just allow myself to go with the flow and feel the passion, and I think that's part of what makes it work for me is the freedom that I have to do that.
Yeah, I'm
not stuck at a desk I don't want to be at 40 hours a week. and I understand the privilege that is.
Yeah, and that's very fortunate. A lot of people, I agree, don't necessarily have that. You really utilize that time as much as you can.
Absolutely,
which is very good. So, diving a little bit into that, like maybe that, try to break down for me, what does an 8-hour work session for you look like?
An 8-hour work session for me.
Yeah, you've hit that inspiration, you've hit that goal. Like, do you switch projects? Do you like work on the same one, multiple drafts? Like, how does that look like?
Well, it usually starts with a walk with my dogs.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, usually one at a time.
One at a time.
They can be a bit much when they're all together, as we've learned.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll take one of the dogs out and we'll walk by the river, and I'll put on headphones and either listen to a book or some music, and I don't know, things start moving, things start happening, and then I get an idea, and then I'm like, all right, let's go home.
Yeah.
And then I find my iPad, and it starts as a sketch, like a sketch. It starts in my brain as a sketch, and then I put it down as a sketch on my iPad, and then I start adding layers and layers and layers and layers, and in the end, sometimes it's 2 hours later, sometimes it's 43 hours.
Yeah.
The iPad tracks it, so I can see how long I've been drawing for, and sometimes it's an atrocious amount of time. But
I'll let some of those detailed questions kind of get asked a little bit later in the session as well too. But you say that you kind of like listen into some podcasts or a book as well too while you're on the walk. That's really nice. You get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Walking around, some exercise, gets the blood flowing, and then also it kind of like gets your mind active as well too, thinking on what you're listening to. Are there any like particular books or podcasts that you like kind of frequent or?
I listen to a lot of books.
Yeah.
The Medicine Hat Public Library is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't even the library is beautiful and I love to go there, but I don't have to borrow. I always have 5 books in my queue, 5 in my hold, and literally anything. If my friend's reading something, I'm like, I'll pick it up too, then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I also listen to Last Podcast on the Left a lot.
Okay.
Not sure if you guys have heard of it. It's not for everyone.
Last Podcast on the Left.
It's a grungy true crime one.
Okay.
Like 5 dudes who like do voices, and it's really not for everyone, but if it's your thing, it's so good.
Yeah, okay. Sweet. No, that's good to know.
Yeah. And then music.
Yeah,
lots of music too.
So like when you are kind of listening in, are you just trying to get your brain more active, or are you trying to think of something separate, or is this trying to pull inspiration?
It's actually trying to slow my brain down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So by having something different to focus on, I can take in the stuff around me.
Yeah.
If I don't have headphones or something to focus my brain on, I have a really hard time focusing on everything else. I was a kid in class who always got in trouble for drawing in my notebook.
Yeah.
But the moment I had to put your
hands clasped,
I have no idea what was happening in class.
Yeah, you can't necessarily.
Yeah. So if I could draw while they were talking, I could actually absorb the information in class. But the teachers who didn't allow me to, I struggled a lot.
Yeah. So to kind of like put that into terms of inspiration there, so you kind of listen into these books and go for the walk to eventually feed inspiration indirectly by disconnecting from your artistic thought process and just focusing on something different so that your mind is clear.
Yeah.
Right.
So, closing my mind from, everything else happening in the world, from what I need to do at home, from my, what my friends are going through, if I need an oil change, oh shoot, got to remember that. You know what I mean? It turns all of that stuff off.
Takes the chaos away and goes into the calm.
And that allows me to focus on the present moment, I guess.
Well, that's awesome. So that's the beginning of the process of that 8-hour day. What happens next?
Coffee.
Yeah,
coffee, lots of water. And then I gotta get comfy. So either I might go downtown and find a cafe and sit in there, because that helps me disconnect as well. Working from home is great, but it can be a little tough.
It can be. I know. I personally, I find it better to be in a spot.
Yeah.
That kind of that allows this area of work to kind of be adapted. Like if I was to study, I want to be in a library. If I was to work, like so a cafe is typically where you go.
A cafe. I'm extroverted.
Yeah.
So being home also can be a bit like, okay, I'm gonna work, but suddenly I'm sleepy because I have nobody else to leech energy off of.
Yeah.
But if I go to a cafe, I don't have to go with anyone, and I can just be around other people's energy that can keep me can keep me
you
going
fueled, yeah.
without distracting me.
Yeah. No.
And then still the headphones, I can still draw.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Whereas if I'm home, I'm like, oh, I should hang the clothes on the line. Oh, I should, So love working at home, but I do need to find spaces. So if it's a work at home day, I just get comfy. I turn my book back on and I go.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That makes
and
sense.
then that's it. I just go.
And
I just
then
draw. I have to set timers to stand up and move, or else I fall off. If I sit on the couch, my legs, I'll fall off because I've been drawing for too long because I'm so focused.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. How long would you say is a typical session for you before that timer goes off?
Oh, I would set it for at least every hour.
Every hour?
Yeah.
And then you kind of just take a break, walk away?
Yeah.
Okay.
The dogs are a good timer too.
Because
they want to go outside or have a snuggle or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so with intermediate breaks, that kind of breaks down your workday for the most part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. And so I guess that's specific for illustration. What does it kind of look like with everything else? Like say pottery or is it all the same?
No, it's all different.
Not. It's all different. Okay.
With pottery, so I'm just getting my studio going here. But when I go to the studio for a day, I am excited to wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
I get up and I get going and I basically just wash my face, grab a coffee on the way there. And if I'm throwing, I commit to it because you have to clean up really good at the studio.
Yeah.
There's some seasoned members there and they'll see you if you don't.
If
you're using red, if you're using red clay and they show up to use white the next day, you better be clean.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense. A shared space.
So if I'm going to be throwing at the studio, it's a huge mess and I want to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
So I bring a whole box of clay and I throw and throw and throw and throw and throw.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, I text my husband, okay, I'm getting cleaned up. And then someone else comes in and then I get excited and talk to them. And then 3 more hours pass and I'm like, I swear I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And I'll be there from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. sometimes.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, yeah, I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Everybody there is like, did you eat? When they come back 6 hours later and I'm still throwing.
No, that's awesome. So I guess it really just kind of depends on what you're doing exactly to kind of see what that day looks like broken down.
Absolutely. So I'll throw for a day and then I'll come back the next day and trim and do handles. And then I'll come back the next day and do decorating. I do really intense decorating on my pottery. Lots of people wait and biscuit and then glaze. But I usually have another entire process that takes the most time, which is carving and painting and all these different elements to my pottery before it goes through bisque.
Yeah.
And illustration comes into play there because I use my illustration skills on the pottery.
I was going to say, and that was going to be my next topic as well too. So I know that we know that you kind of combine a few of these mediums together. So how does one inspire the other, or how do they work together?
Well, when I started doing pottery, it was because I love pottery.
Yeah.
I was spending so much money on other people's pottery, and I still am. But now I can do it. So basically, what it began as was realizing that I could decorate pottery by drawing on it.
Yeah.
So when I learned to throw, my goal wasn't to be a proficient thrower. It was to make myself a canvas.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd throw and I'd be stoked and then I'd take it home and carve all over it.
Yeah.
And then I'd throw more so that I could carve all over it.
Yeah.
And that was my main goal, was making myself canvases to decorate. But then I fell in love with throwing.
Yeah.
And then I just kept throwing and throwing, and now I'm hard pressed to trim and handle and follow through because I just love throwing.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame you. We've had the chance to interview a couple potters, as you know, and I mean, yes, there is an odd zen to it as well too that people can achieve. That's very, very relaxing.
Well, and especially because it's such a it is not an easy thing to learn. I mean, not for me it wasn't.
No, for me it's not either.
And it took a long time for me to feel like I actually had control.
Yeah.
I was making all sorts of stuff well before I felt like I had control.
Yeah.
Because I cared more about the canvas than the throwing. But when that changed, it's like you have a superpower, I swear.
Yeah, no, honestly.
So the more I learn, the more exciting it gets, and the more possibilities open with what you can do with it and how I can,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And so pottery basically became a canvas for you.
Yeah.
And so you were already an illustrator before that, but then finally discovering this new way to illustrate. How exactly does that work out? Because I know we use a lot of tech for your illustrations.
Yeah.
How exactly do you implant this drawing or something onto the pottery?
Well, the tech for my illustrations is simply a tool.
Yeah.
I've only had an iPad for about 3 years.
Right.
So before that, I used Illustrator if I wanted to do any digital designs, which I didn't have very much control with. I mean, I did. I was pretty proficient at it because I was determined to be.
Yeah.
But you have to use a mouse and vectors, and you like pull lines to make curves. You can't just draw them. So it wasn't as organic as I like.
Yeah.
Because at heart, I can draw by hand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what the iPad did was it made it so that I could have more control over things like layering and erasing and like making straight lines without rulers and textures and things, you know. And so being able to do it with pottery takes me back to a tangible way.
Yeah, where you actually have to physically go.
Yes, which is still something that I can sustain myself with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where drawing by hand on paper, less so.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's ways to use my iPad to learn how to use pottery tools as well.
Right.
For example, there is a technique that I do very often called sgraffito. And what and what I do is I paint underglaze all over a cup, and then I carve back at it to create my design.
Yeah.
But what I had to do to achieve that was learn how to draw backwards.
Right.
Because you're drawing the negative space, not the positive space.
Ah.
And that took a bit for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah. And
so in order to practice, I would take my iPad and put a black canvas on it, and then I would use my eraser or a white color to do the drawings, and it really helped me learn that skill.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And something you wouldn't have initially thought of at first when you're carving into clay. You're having to, like you said, focus on the negative space rather than the actual spot that you're typically used to drawing in. Too. Oh, that is that's quite a bit to learn from as well. And it looks like some of our viewers have returned as well too. Oh, that's lovely.
Huckleberry.
Oh, Huck.
It's Clark and Perry on the case. Clark and Perry, do what it takes. Clark and Perry, investigate.
The activities and interests of local artists in the Windy City's finest throughout both Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, Alberta. Available on TELUS, Optic TV, On Demand, VidFlex, YouTube, and more for limited time only. Terms and conditions apply.